All right, dudes, and our final boss as well. A final boss currently. I'm 7 out of 10, so this is like the final upload. Currently, maybe after Christmas when I get back to raiding. I'm currently casting the Race to the World first, so maybe after Christmas I'll be able to finish off this series of heroic boss fights. Hopefully, it's been an interesting series so far. Looking at Lady Inerva, this was quite an interesting fight. It did take us quite a few attempts to get it down, but once you get it, it seems to be quite a comfortable, quite a I don't want to say it's not like an easy boss. Like this one is quite a bit of a challenge, but I think especially like the geometry like mechanic, but we'll get into that in a little bit. For now, what I'm using is Apex Predator. Obviously, I'm using I'm Nightface, so I'm using Nia. I'm using Nia's Invigoration. I'm using Carnivorous Instinct because I didn't want to keep swapping between that and Taste for Blood. And then I'm using Sabertooth, Soul of the Forest, Brutal Slash, and Blood Talons. You could opt for Primal Wrath in this fight because there are like ads that are up for quite a long time, but I'm just going Brutal Slash. I think that's going to be ultimately be better. You need a lot of single target for this lady, so yeah, that's what I end up using. But let's get into this one. So this, because it's pure single target, I'm going to be doing my traditional rotation. So I'm going to Rake, I'm going to Shred, I'm going to Brutal Slash up to 5 combo points. I'm then going to look to Berserk, Tiger's Fury, Rip, Shred Bite until Tiger's Fury has about 1 to 2 seconds left. It really comes down to the timing of how many combo points you have and like whether you need to refresh your Rake. So you want to just be like careful with your timing there, but I don't end up having to move out for these soaks. We have a lot of really good range players who are just taking care of like all of the mechanics for me. So until I get something specifically on me, I'm not really having to do a whole lot. Something that I've thought of that would be really cool, right, during your Berserk window, is if you shred and you don't crit, instead of waiting for 40 energy to reshred, just Brutal Slash instead, because A, it's going to contribute towards you being able to proc a Blood Talons during your Berserk window, but also, I mean, whether you shred or you Brutal Slash, you're at 4 combo points. Any ability you do now is going to give you that 5th combo point. So if you can get something that's going to be lower energy and technically more damage than a Shred, then go for it. I mean, Shred during Berserk will do more than a Brutal Slash, I believe. But like, still, the energy requirement is just going to facilitate you to get more ferocious bites into that window. So all in all, I think it's a net positive to go for the Brutal Slash. Now, when these ads spawn up here, I end up ripping all 3 of them and raking all 3 of them, going in with the Thrash there because they're going to be up for long enough. And then I'm just trying to maintain this rakes, maintain the rips, and then just be generating my Blood Talons here with Brutal Slash as the filler. And then I get this geometry mechanic on me. Now, at first, I thought I had to be standing on the orb. Turns out you don't have to stand on the orb specifically. You can just, it's called Sins and Suffering, by the way. I call it the geometry, but Sins and Suffering there. So all you have to do is have your beam go through the orb. So you don't have to position in the actual orb. Though I definitely think that's going to be a difficult mechanic because if somebody dies whilst they're doing that, which can definitely happen as this fight gets more and more hectic, and you can see this like this ground effect here that's just like, you know, these little scratch marks that can easily take up a lot of room in the boss fight. People can easily die on that, and then like you can't, like you have to commit a battle res to them, or if you don't have one, like the fight's over pretty much because you can't do the Sins and Suffering there. So I don't know if Blizzard needs to probably change that for Mythic, but we'll see what ends up happening there. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty much like a rinse and repeat fight. It's, you know, you've got these intermittent ad phases, and then you've got these slight mechanical pressures. But as a melee, this wasn't really a requirement for me. I was able to just kind of keep smacking the boss. But I think for like if you're a ranger in this fight, you have a big advantage if you're like, you know, something with high mobility. For me, there wasn't really too much. There wasn't really too much that I really had to do. So it was kind of just a tank and spank for me, which is quite nice. I mean, like a lot of people so far in these videos, you know, I have had some comments and questions of like how, you know, like, oh, you're doing so much damage, and like, oh, look, like you know, like you're like beating other players, stuff like that. I want to know, obviously, like, I have my legendary equipped. This is also my main character. A lot of these guys are playing alt characters and they don't have legendaries, and they're probably like 160 geared or some shit like that. So like I should in theory be doing like a lot of damage, you know. So I mean, it was really cool, and it's cool for people to be like, hey, the damage looks really good, but like, make no mistake here, like, these guys are carrying me in terms of they're doing all the move out mechanics, they're doing everything, so I can basically just stand here and smack the boss, because they're basically like carrying like two of us in a sense, but it's kind of like in a way helping for these splits. But yeah, so that's why the kind of the damage looks the way that it has. But still a really cool, really cool experience to be able to do these splits, and like, this was a really fun boss. For me, I think my favorite bosses so far, I really liked all of them. My favorite, though, is definitely Artificer. Artificer is an absolutely incredible boss. I can't wait to see it on Mythic, like, actually, like, live, because you can read all the mechanics that you want on a, you know, on a web page, but seeing the actual mechanics can be really cool. Now, I get this mechanic on me here, and what you want to do, this summons the ads after it kind of is expelled, and what you want to do is you just want to move out close to the boss, because these are very like difficult to move. In fact, I don't know if you can even like move them well, like that manifestation, I don't know if it even moves. So you want to have those right up close to the boss, obviously making sure nobody else is in them. And then you have just like this interpretation on that condemn there. And again, I was like free kicking at times, just if I saw it getting close. As this fight gets very hectic towards the end, what happens for the Sins and Suffering is the Sins and Suffering, you don't just have like the orbs to account for. They then have like this beam on them, and the beam spins around, so you have to avoid the beam as well. So it gets quite hectic towards the end. Like I said, you've got all these ground effects throughout the room, plus you have these soaks that you have to do. And the issue with the soaks is, like, if the soak is on a ground mechanic, then like you have to commit a hard defensive there, or like a turtle, or like something. So it's really unideal at this stage of the fight. But the whole team is up and alive, so we just bang it out, you know. Just Lady Inerva goes down. That's 7 out of 10 there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this series so far. Again, get down in the comments and, you know, leave some likes and whatnot if you enjoyed it, or if you need anything from me. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.